if you are new here, this is the Reader's Wand and I am Ashley. About a month ago, I put up a poll on my Twitter asking what nostalgia read I should go for, and Twilight won. So I will be vlogging my reactions to reading Twilight. I have not read this book since, I want to say middle school, so like 8th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I think I read it first when I was in 6th grade, and then I read it several times throughout middle school, and I've watched the movie a bunch, and I've watched the movie since then. So I know the general premise, obviously, and I was obsessed with the series when I was younger. But I put that poll up a month ago, you guys chose that, and then Stephanie Meyer released her reveal of Midnight Sun coming out, which I guess is supposed to be like Twilight, but Edward's point of view. So, and that's supposed to come out in August. So maybe I'll do one Twilight book per month. Who knows? We'll see. But today, let's dive into Twilight and see how I feel. Okay, I'm only 15 pages in, but I'm sitting here thinking about it. She is going to school or whatever, and she says, if only I looked like I was from California, I could use it to my advantage, if I had tan skin, red hair, whatever. And I was thinking, how could you use that to your advantage? Because you're spending the whole time talking about how you want to have no attention on you, so why would you want to stand out? And then she talks about how her clothes are similar to everybody else's, and how her plain black jacket doesn't stand out, but that's what you want. So why would you want to look different than everyone if you don't want attention on you, Alright, so I am 50 pages into Twilight, and that is up to chapter 3. And I forgot or never noticed or whatever how judgmental Bella is. She continually describes people in not very nice ways. So she makes a point that she doesn't remember people's names. She calls Mike repeatedly a dog, and she's I imagine him with his tail wagging. She says Eric is a boy with skin problems and an oil slick for hair or something along those lines, and she is just very judgmental and rude. And I don't know how I never noticed before. It's pretty annoying. That's kind of one of the issues I guess people have with this book. And I know this was written in the early 2000s when women really felt like they had to talk about how different they were and be sort of judgmental and things to other women to kind of feel like they were appreciated by men or to be noticed by men. They felt like they had to not be like other girls and not be into girly things and be quirky and different and one of the bros to sort of get the attention and be the cool girl. And it's just kind of irritating because we've come a long way, but this book was written a while ago, and take it for what it is. I know that Midnight Sun is from Edward's point of view, but I'm hoping that it'll be a little less judgmental. And yeah, so that's where I'm at, and I should be able to finish this today. It's still having all that nostalgic feeling that I think a lot of people turn to Twilight for, and I think we can all kind of agree that this is not the best writing. It's not indicative of the sort of personalities that we want to have, the way that we want to treat other women, and just the sort of shaming of people's appearances. That's not how we want to be. But this series was a very influential part of a lot of young readers' lives. I think that this series just brought a lot of young readers in, and it really shaped the way YA young adult was written for years to come. It's still there's still hints of it through what we're even reading today, and I think that we can't ignore that this brought a lot of young readers in that probably wouldn't be in the reading scene or into reading as much as they are. And even though it has its problems, and it's one of those series that people just in general like to make fun of things that young girls like, which is so dumb, because like what you like, you know? And we just have to acknowledge that this means a lot to a lot of people, and it means a lot to me. I really have very fond memories of reading these books and watching the movies with friends, and, you know, just gushing and loving that. And it brought me a lot of good friends in middle school that, you know, would have made that time a lot harder than it already was if I didn't have them. So I think this just brought a group of young people together in a way that is just like uniquely this series. And it's, you know, it's not Harry Potter. Harry Potter is this whole other thing, like this whole other phenomenon. Like, everybody loves Harry Potter. Everybody can appreciate it for what it is, but I think Twilight has like a very niche group of people that love it, and I think that kind of brings the community of lovers together, and it's special. While it's annoying to read the like things that we don't like in it, I think it's also just kind of a comforting place for a lot of us. And I know in the community right now, with Midnight Sun being like talked about and being revealed, a lot of people are looking for that comfort that they can escape to with all the stress and things that are going on right now. So I like that this is something that people in our community have something to go to and to love and to bring, you know, enjoyment from. And it's good. But yeah, so I'm 50 pages in and I still have 450 math, but yeah, I'm just gonna dive back in. Good old Stephenie Meyer offending 2 groups of people within 2 pages. Okay, so we have talked about the content. Let's talk about the writing. It's very odd because she uses very SAT words and then sprinkles it in with her normal conversation. So like how a high schooler would talk is the usual dialect or dialogue or writing or whatever. And then she just sprinkles in random big smart words in like randomly. And it's odd. So I would get it on the standpoint of like Edward and the Cullens and all of them, because they're like timeless, I guess. Like, they learned to speak in a different era, so their dialect would be different. But her like inner thoughts are that way, and it's just odd. Okay, another weird thing. So Stephenie Meyer like makes a point to mention cars, which is cool. And like, I heard somewhere that she really likes cars, but she made Bella not know anything about cars, so it's kind of weird. So Jacob just said the line, you wouldn't happen to know where I could get my hands on a master cylinder for a 1986 Volkswagen Rabbit? And she's like, no, but I'll look out as if I knew what that was. So does she like cars but not know about cars? Or know about like cars, like their insides, but she knows the shells, like the actual car itself? Or what? Because if she liked cars and knew about cars, why wouldn't you just write your character to know about cars as well? Or just not mention it at all? She just described the, I guess, girl antagonist, like frenemy chick Lauren, as having pale, fishy eyes. What exactly are fishy eyes? On page 200, and we just got the famous line. page 396. I just got to the baseball part, so we are getting into the non-action of this book, and I'm kind of having the same feelings that I had when I was, you know, in the middle of the book. Well, 50 pages in, I didn't update it at the middle, but I just have like very nostalgic feelings for it. And I mean, as you've seen in like my previous clips, there's definitely parts of like the writing and things that are said that I'm like, that's maybe not great. And I'm hoping that with Midnight Sun, Stephenie Meyer like really takes a look at the writing and the things that she said and kind of recognizes that some of the things that she said are not okay, you know, changes those and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I'm just gonna continue on through this and finish it. Okay, I have finished Twilight, and I think if I had to rate it and I was going in with like brand new eyes, I'll try to be as objective as possible, I would probably give this a 3 because it's an enjoyable time. It's angsty and all of that, but the writing is not great. We all know this, but it was enjoyable. I had a good time. I liked the angst. Even though Bella was like hella annoying, I still enjoyed this. And there was a lot of stuff about this that I didn't remember or think I ever realized. And aside from saying stuff about mental illness and disabled people and, you know, all that, when I read this as a kid, I remember swooning over Edward and thinking that that was like the height of romance and just like getting all tingly in my areas for their relationship. And reading it, he's very cold. Bella is definitely the one that is very forthright with her feelings, which I get it, like some people aren't straight up like word vomiting all the time, but especially when you're like brand new to a relationship, especially when you're young and like you have all those hormones, like he's not, his hormones are gone. But you have like with even like as you get older, like with new love, with first love or whatever, you have kind of this like bubble and you are affectionate, and he was just not like that. And he came off very cold and just very like almost disinterested. And so he created like this weird feeling of like he's saying I'll die for you and all this dramatic like meaningful stuff, but he feels very cold, if that makes sense. And like besides the fact that it's like insta love, which is obvious, it just felt very odd. There wasn't like that I have to be with you feeling on his end, which is something that like I've always gotten. And I don't know why I'm just not noticing this or why I got that from this reread, but if you take out all of his dialogue and just look at his actions, I don't think it would have painted the picture of someone in love with someone else, you know? And yeah, it was okay. I mean, for what it is and for all of the things that it did for me as a young reader and lots of people as a young reader, the YA genre and all of that, I think it's great, and it'll always have a place in my heart, and it'll always have a place on like my favorite shelf, but it's definitely not objectively the best, which is fine. I will probably continue my reread because Midnight Sun's coming out in August. I haven't decided if I want to get Midnight Sun, like actually purchase it or not. Probably not. I'll probably just wait till my library gets it or something. Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. Objectively, I would give this probably a 3, very average. My enjoyment level from like a nostalgia standpoint is still like maybe a 4. I think this series like just gets better, I guess, as it goes on. Anyways, yeah. So we'll have to see how my feelings are for the rest of the series. But yeah, so those were my thoughts, and I hope you liked this video, and comment your thoughts on Twilight down below. If you've ever read it, if you haven't read it, if you're rereading it now and you have some thoughts, you know, just let me know what those are. And yeah, I hope you like this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.